half of our paper. And since your paper's a little bigger than mine, I say make this oval about the size of a potato. As you can see here, I keep my oval very light, really rough and sketchy. Just really building up my shape with lots and lots of curved lines. Once you've gotten your potato in place, the next steps we need to add in are what we call guidelines to help us place in some of Tigger's features. So moving right up to the top of our oval, we're going to lightly bring down a vertical line. Look at our oval right now, right down the middle. And this line is just showing us that Tigger's going to be facing towards us. Then about halfway down our oval here on either side, we want to lightly stretch across a horizontal line. And this line is going to help us in placing in Tigger's eyes. But this will give us our basic foundation for Tigger. And it looks nothing like it. Right now we have Kylo Ren's lightsaber going through a potato. Not so much that Tiger that we know and love today. But with our foundation in place, the first feature we do want to give this Tiger are going to be his ears. And so the way that we'll add in his ears here, I'm going to start over here on the left side of my oval. We want to go right above our guideline. And to build at the top of the ear, we're going to lightly pull up a slight little curve, little rainbow. Now to close off the side of his ear, from the top of this rainbow, we're going to pull down this C-shaped curve, and this is going to pass through our guideline. And finally, to close off his ear at the bottom, we're going to connect this to the side of our oval with a little letter E. So now this should look like we have a bent-in letter C, or like a guitar pick shape for the ear. But we'll go ahead and do those same steps for the ear on the right as well. So moving over here on the right, right above our guideline, we'll go to the top of the ear again with that rainbow going up. And we'll close off the side of this ear, same letter C shape going down. And we'll follow that by closing off the bottom of the ear, that same letter U. So now this should look like we have a little piece of candy here on our paper. But Tigger is a stuffed animal, so we are going to be seeing some folds on the inside of his ears. So to add in that little bit of detail, we're going to go right on the inside of the left ear, and on the guideline, we're going to follow that same curve that we added in for the top of the ear, just adding in a little rainbow. And we want to show that his ear is being pulled in tight by adding in what we call a tension line. So about halfway up that rainbow, I'm going to bring another curve down, turning this into a sideways letter Y. You can also think of this as a little tree branch in the ear as well. While running the same steps for the right ear, starting with that upper fold, the rainbow up. And we'll make that second tree branch, little letter Y, with that same curve going down. Alright, now that we've got the ears in place, to help us build up the lower half of Tigger's head, we do need to give this tiger his jaw next. Now, Tigger's a confident character. With a lot of our confident characters here at Disney, we like to give them what we call these big lantern jaws. Other characters include Gaston, Mr. Incredible, Buzz Lightyear, Idina Menzel, and Tigger's just as confident as they are. He likes to brag that he's the only one. So to figure out how long we need to make the jaw for him, the length of his jaw is going to be about double the size of your oval. So if you'd like, you can even measure out your oval and just double that right below it. I'll even give myself a little tick mark, just a rough reminder for when I want to stop the jaw. Now to build the sides of his jaw, we're going to go from the bottom of our oval, and on either side, we're going to lightly stretch down just a couple of these little curves. We're going to curve these down to the bottom of our paper. And with my curves nice and light, to close off his jaw at the bottom, we're going to play a little game of connect the dots. So from between my 2 points, I'll join these together by adding in a little letter U right between the two. Now, when it came to coming up with Tigger's personality, the author A.A. Milne actually based Tigger off of his family dog, which is pretty interesting to think about. But the reason why Tigger is this energetic character that we read about in the stories and see in the cartoons today is because A.A. Milne's dog was his Cocker Spaniel named Chum. And Chum was this little ball of energy that would run around the house, would jump on the furniture, and would actually pounce on the guests that would enter the family home.
My Tigger's cut off at the bottom.
It's pretty interesting to learn about where the inspiration for our historical characters come from. Now, with his head nice and dark, the first facial feature we do want to give this tiger is going to be his really big nose. And so to add in his nose here, we're going to go right to the middle of our oval, And right below our guidelines, we're going to lightly sketch in a circle next. And the circle is going to drop right to the bottom of our original oval. But we do want to keep this shape nice and light to start with, because Tigger's nose isn't perfectly round like a clown nose. The top of his nose is actually pretty flat. And so to flatten out the top of the nose, once you've got your circle in place, we're going to drop right below our eye line. And to carve off the top of that nose, or the top of that circle, I'm going to draw across a very subtle curve, almost a flat line here. And I'll even darken this in. You can see that we're not going to be needing that little bit of our circle at the top anymore. But we do want to keep the rest of his nose nice and round. So I'll go right along the sides of my circle. Pick up my favorite circle lines here on the sides. Go ahead and darken in the rest of the shape here. Tigger's nose does rest on a snout. And if we leave his portrait like this though, Tigger's going to look like he ran into a wall. And we don't want that for this tiger. And so to show us that his nose is actually coming out towards us, we need to add in what we call his snout lines next. And so moving right along the side of the nose to add in that snout line, we're going to drop down this little candy cane, little hook shape here from the side of his nose, and you want to drop this down to the bottom of your original oval. Now at the bottom of those snout lines, that's where we're going to start giving Tigger his smile. So on either side of his head, we're going to add in a little rainbow here on each side. And these are adding in what we call his smile lines. These curves are there to show us that his cheeks are going to be pushed up as he smiles nice and big. Now, to give our tiger the rest of his smile, from right between our two smile lines, we're going to play another game of connect the dots. And so between those smile lines, I'm going to connect them together by stretching across a letter U. And if it helps you, you're more than welcome to follow the curve of that nose. But you just want to connect this smile from that left smile line over to the one on the right-hand side. But you're more than welcome to keep Tigger's smile just like this. You know, he's looking pretty content with life. But if you want to make your tiger look a little bit happier, oftentimes we're going to draw him with what we call an open mouth or a laughing smile. And so anywhere along this letter U, you want to pull down this letter U shape. For me, I like to pull mine off to the side, like he's doing his iconic laugh. How does it go? Something like a... Yes, that laugh. Thank you. That laugh that you hear today was actually ad-libbed by his voice actor, Paul Winchell. That laugh, as well as Tigger's famous catchphrases like TTFN, Ta-Ta for now, T-I double gun those are all ad-libbed by Paul. And whenever Paul would talk, recite his lines for Tigger in the studio, he would typically talk at the side of his mouth as well. So that's where we get that kind of feature where he talks. But with Tigger being a tiger, he is going to have some of those cat-like features to him. And one of those features is that little split, that little line that cats have below their nose. So in the space between the nose and that smile, I'll darken in that center guideline. And just like all cats, this one definitely has some whiskers. And for the whiskers, you're going to go right inside of the space below the nose. And it's just 3 flicks of the pencil here on either side. 1, 2, 3. And over here on the left-hand side, 1, 2, 3. Quick and bouncy, just like his personality. But with those whiskers in place, the hardest part of our drawing started complete. And you all are actually about halfway done with your portraits of Tigger. And so now that we've got the hard stuff out of the way, this is where we want to really wake up our tiger next. So we do want to give him his small little button eyes. Now to wake up Tigger here, we're just going to go right above his nose. And on either side of that center guideline, we're going to add in these little ovals, these little apple seeds for the eyes. Now when Tigger first started out, he debuted as a storybook character. And so it was just illustrations in the pages of the books. But when he became an animated character for the TV, Tigger needed to be able to blink. Because in order for a character to be likable and believable on screen, they actually have to blink every 10 to 12 seconds. Or else it's going to be super awkward if this character is just staring at you the entire time without blinking. It would make the audience really uncomfortable. And so the way that the animators fixed this problem for Tigger, they just gave him some eyelids. And so moving right above his eyes, to add in those upper eyelids, you'll want to add in a couple small rainbows. And for his lower eyelids, you go right below the eyes and add in a couple small letter U's. But you do want to make sure you draw the eyelids pretty close to his eyes. If you draw these too far apart, Tigger's going to look like he had one too many drinks at Starbucks. Like, can you imagine Tigger on 5 cups of coffee? Like, Tigger has what we like to call a character mask. Pretty much just a little mask that wraps around his eyes. And for the shape of his mask, I like to think of this
I gave
as a
him the coffee
windshield
look.
or even a fan. And so to give us that mask, we'll go to the top of our oval, and on the inside of our shape, we'll stretch across another rainbow on the inside.
Oh,
And so really give ourselves that windshield or that fan kind of shape. From the end of the rainbow, we're going to pull a curve across, connecting this to the top of his nose here on either side. Now, right above this character mask, that's where his eyebrows are going to be resting. So to make our tiger just a little bit more expressive, we'll start the eyebrows by going to the top of the mask, and on either side of that center guideline, you want to add in a little number 1. And his eyebrows are shaped like shark fins or little blades of grass, so to really complete the shape. We'll go from the top of the number 1, we'll pull a curve across to the end of that character mask. So I added Frida on the left. Then I'll go ahead and add in Kahlo on the right. And when it comes to shading in the eyebrows, you're more than welcome to shade them just like that. Or what I like to do is go in with more of a streaky texture, a little homage to the original illustrator of the Winnie the Pooh books, E.H. Shepard. When he would shade in Tigger's stripes and his eyebrows, he would go back in with this really rough, kind of scratchy texture there. Now we're almost finished with our sketches of Tigger, but Tigger is a tiger, and what do all tigers have that he's missing?
stripes.
Yes, those stripes. Now Tigger has one big stripe that wraps around the back of his head. And so to show that one big stripe, in the space between the eyebrows and his ears, you want to add in this little letter J, little check mark shape here on either side.
Around out of space.
And he also has 2 stripes on the sides of his face. And we can add these in by adding in a couple of rounded shark fins, some candy corns here as well. But you do want to make sure these stripes do stay nice and round. You don't want to give Tigger any sharp points or angles. We save those sharp points and angles more for our villainous characters. So you'd see more of those sharp looking stripes on a villain like Shere Khan from the Jungle Book. Another Disney tiger, just not as friendly. With those stripes in place, that's also going to be the last step that you need for Tigger. So this is the time in your drawings when you want to go back in, do some touch-up work, darken in any lines that might have faded away in the drawing process. We love to stand out nice and dark. His nose is that darkest tone of pink, so I always love to save this shading for the very end. But the last mark any artist truly needs to leave on their work before it's even complete though are going to be your signatures. So make sure you do find a spot somewhere next to your drawing and do sign big and proud, because you have just learned how to draw your very own portrait of Tigger, who this year will be turning 93 years old. He's the same age as Mickey Mouse, just 2 years younger than the rest of us.
What's today's date? Oh, 7/10.
He's
Okay.
a pretty focused artist out here. There's some intense sketching going on. But did we have fun overall? Yes. That's the most important part about drawing. It's really having fun here. Well, before we say goodbye, we see all of the amazing tigers here today. So we're going to have a quick little art show. On the count of 3, let you all to raise your boards high and proud. And take a moment to look around. Oh, you Tigger a little differently. So 1, 2, 3, Tigger, everyone. Let's take a look out here. Amazing tigers here in my room. Those nice big happy smiles. Excellent work in my room with his nice big confident jaws. I see them Mazzella definitely jealous. Nice bold line work. Awesome job with the stripes. Nice and round, looking super soft. Super cute tigers in the back. I definitely bounced with them all. Excellent work, everyone. Well, I have to say these all came out 100-acre good.
Oh!
So give yourselves a round of applause. You got us graduated from the Animation Academy. Now those drawings are pretty good. Go ahead and take those drawings off the board with you and take them home as a souvenir. Now, if you'd like to join us for
All
our
right,
next
people.
class, join
I'll see you guys later.
I'd love to have you back for that. But if you don't see